Hello, so someone actually asked a really, a good question about artifacts. They were a new player, so I wanted to just, clarify it for them. So artifacts, basically, certain food souls have artifacts, certain food souls do not yet, but for the most part, these are, extra little things that unlock after your food soul is 2-star. So what happens is when you get this artifact energy in the top right, you can either get them from using Twicket sweeps or universal challenge tickets. You have one for URs and then some for SRs and then some for Rs. Or you can do Gate of Trials. I'll go into that later. But basically, when you get your energy from using these tickets, you'll be able to unlock these nodes. Now, these nodes give you stat boosts, and then the big nodes with the hamsters, they give you an extra skill effect or a buff. So for example, here for my candy cane, and then this would be called tier 1 because it's the first tier, or node 1. This one is a crit node, and then it has every artifact has 3 effects that you can choose from. So for example, if I wanted this first effect, then I would have to choose an togi that looks like this one. So I'd have to choose this one, and then I'd play inlay. If I wanted the second one, then I would choose this one, and then if I wanted this one, then I would choose this one. These extra nodes, they give different effects, and then these little nodes, they just give stat boost. So for example, this one gives speed, and then if I had enough energy, I would be able to get some more defense for my candy cane. That's what artifacts basically do. You do need your food soul to be 2-star plus, and the most effective way of getting artifacts is actually through Gate of Trials. So if we go to our events, occasionally you will see these types of Gates of Trials. I didn't make a video on Cookie or Candy Apple, but I just don't have time to edit right now. But basically, if you go through here, you'll be able to advance through the difficulties and then use, instead of tickets like earlier, you'll be able to use stamina. And this is why people like me, usually mid to late game players, they start hoarding stamina like a bunch so that they can use it for certain Gates of Trials for certain food souls, in order to get artifact energy. So if I had if I had Cookie, at 2 stars, I'd be able to unlock their artifact, but I don't. But then you would be able to come in here and then you'd use your stamina to fight these battles and then get through the highest difficulty for the best rate, and then continue to sweep that until you get enough energy to unlock their artifacts, and then unlock the nodes, and then unlock the little stat nodes to make your food souls more powerful and more utilizable. So that's how it goes. There's 2 ways to do this. You can either use tickets, which cost crystals, or you can use stamina, which you just get from bentos and tip shop, airship, stuff like that. So that's what artifacts are. Now, in terms of good artifacts, some food souls have really good artifacts. Some food souls have artifacts. Basically, you want to read up on it on your own time, or ask the Food Fantasy Discord to see which ones are competitively good, because these artifacts are very expensive, so you want to only invest in so many on your team. So for example, Foy's artifact, if you have her at 2-star plus, you'll see that she has this, but literally all these nodes are extremely, they're trash. They don't do much for your team, and for their cost, they're extremely expensive, and so it wouldn't be worth it to get that. However, for someone like, let's say, Martini, where his nodes are still very expensive, but if you look at his last node, he has a very powerful skill. When any ally casts a skill, it will deal 33% damage, as well as a 50% chance in giving self a 21% boost in damage for 5 seconds. So that's very good because there's no cooldown, it gives a high damage boost, and then it's a long damage boost duration. And so stuff like that, those are really worth it in terms of artifacts. And then you'll be able to use them in your main team, and then they'll get insane stats and, really help out your team. Additionally, some nodes may be more desirable than others. So for example, if you had B52's artifact and his Gate of Trials reran, and if you had the resources to tier 5 him, you may not want to, because it's so expensive to tier 5 that you just want the most efficient node for your money. And so, for example, that would be for B52, I think it's tier 3, where casting a combo skill dispels debuffs from allies. So this is like an effect that can help you survive more in battles, and also increases allied attack for 29%, lasting for 6 seconds. So this is really nice because, it's a boost as well as a helpful survival effect. So maybe you didn't have enough resources to complete the entire artifact, but you just wanted to use B52 because he's a main unit in your team, for example. Then you would, when the Gate of Trial comes, go and only spend up to tier 3. You don't have to always go to tier 5, but of course the extra effects and extra stats will help slightly. So oftentimes players will just stop at tier 3 or tier 4, depending on what effects they want. Like for example, Candy Cane, you either had the choice of going to tier 5 or just stay at the attack speed nodes after tier 1. So both are very valid. Attack speed nodes of tier 1 obviously is much cheaper, but tier 5 is very helpful as well. So it depends on how much currency you have and how much you're able to use at the time of the Gate of Trials. So it's very important to always save and be ready for those events when they come. So to recap, artifacts are unlocked at level 2 star plus. They give special effects or buffs in their little nodes over here. They cost energy to unlock, and this energy can be purchased through tickets or universal tickets or Gate of Trials, which is the most economical way to go for these artifacts. They're very expensive, but they're very worth if you use them on your main team. If you are still in the early phases of the game, don't worry about it just yet, but just know that you want to save stam and crystals for these in the future for your main team. All right, ciao.